Welcome to tonight's bedtime adventure, little dreamers. Settle down, get cozy under your blankets, let your eyelids grow heavy, and let us drift into a story about a very small rabbit made of velveteen who longed to be real. Once upon a time, on a snowy Christmas morning, a little boy woke to find his stocking bulging with surprises. There were oranges and candy sticks, tin soldiers and puzzles, and tucked way down at the very bottom was a soft little rabbit made of velveteen. He had button eyes that twinkled gently in the firelight and soft brown and white fur that begged to be cuddled. The boy smiled at the rabbit, but too, you know how children are, so many new toys, so many dazzling gifts. At first the rabbit was played with only for a moment, and then set aside while shinier, noisier toys caught the boy's attention. The Velveteen Rabbit sat in the nursery among the other toys. He wasn't clockwork. He couldn't spin like the top, or march like the soldiers, or make music like the mechanical clown. He was quiet, still, gentle. He sometimes wondered if perhaps he was playing. But in that very nursery stood the wisest toy of all, the skin horse. The skin horse had lived there for longer than any toy could remember. His fur was worn away in patches, his eyes were loose, and his tail had only a thread or two left. But he was wise, kind, and loved. One evening, when the room was still and the firelight glowed, the Velveteen Rabbit whispered to the skin horse. "What is real?" he asked. The skin horse's voice was slow and gentle, like a lullaby. Real isn't how you're made. Doesn't happen because you have gears or strings or paint. It happens when a child truly loves you so much, and for so long that your seams might wear out. Your fur might thin, but you don't mind. Because by then, you are real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit softly. Sometimes, the skin horse replied, but when you are real, you don't mind the hurt. Because being real means you will never be forgotten. The Velveteen Rabbit thought about this long into the night. He hoped with all the soft beating of his little velveteen heart that one day he might become real. Time passed as it always does. Days blurred into weeks, and the Velveteen Rabbit waited patiently. Then, one night, the boy's nanny couldn't find his usual toy for bedtime. She reached into the cupboard and pulled out the little Velveteen Rabbit. "Here, take the rabbit to bed," she said. And so, at last, the Velveteen Rabbit was tucked under the boy's arm. From that night on, everything changed. The boy cuddled him, whispered secrets to him, and carried him everywhere. They had picnics in the meadow, games under the apple trees, and quiet naps in the shade. When the boy was tired, he rested his cheek against the rabbit's velveteen fur. The rabbit was no longer just a toy. He was a companion, a comfort, a friend. And oh, how his little velveteen heart swelled with happiness. Summer came, warm and golden. The boy and the rabbit were never apart. Together, they climbed grassy hills, lay under blue skies, and listened to the buzzing of bees. At night, the rabbit lay safe in the boy's arms, listening to the steady heartbeat that made him feel alive. Sometimes the boy whispered, "You're my favorite. You're real to me." Those words were like magic. The Velveteen Rabbit believed them, every syllable sinking deep into his stuffing, every whisper stitching more love into his seams. One evening, as twilight painted the garden in lavender and gold, the Velveteen Rabbit saw something that made him sit up very straight. From the edge of the wood, two sleek, real rabbits hopped into the clearing. Their ears twitched, their noses wiggled, and their legs sprang with powerful grace. The Velveteen Rabbit longed to hop with them, but his sewn legs could only dangle. The wild rabbits looked at him curiously. "Come play," they called. "I can't," the Velveteen Rabbit whispered sadly. I don't have legs that work like yours." The wild rabbits tilted their heads. "You're not like us. You're not real." And with that, they bounded away into the dusk. The Velveteen Rabbit felt a pang deep inside. But when the boy scooped him up and hugged him close, the sadness faded. To him, thought the rabbit, "I am real, and maybe that is enough." As summer slipped into autumn, the boy grew ill. A fever burned hot in his cheeks, and the Velveteen Rabbit stayed by his side through every long night. The boy clung to him, whispering dreams and tears into his soft fur. Day after day, the rabbit stayed, patient and loving, a small comfort through the storm of sickness. At last the fever broke, and the boy began to heal. But the doctor said everything in this room must be burned. The sickness must not return. The rabbit was placed in a sack with old books and worn sheets, ready to be thrown onto the fire. Alone in the cool night, the Velveteen Rabbit lay still, thinking of the boy of laughter and picnics, whispered secrets and soft hugs. For the first time, he felt truly broken-hearted. As the rabbit thought and thought, a single tear welled in his shiny button eye. The tear slipped down his soft fur and fell onto the ground. Where it touched the earth, something wondrous happened. A flower blossomed, glowing softly in the moonlight, and from that flower stepped the most beautiful fairy the rabbit had ever seen. She was the nursery fairy, guardian of all toys loved by children. "You have been loved deeply," she whispered. "And because of that love, you are real. Not just to the boy, but to the whole wide world." She touched the Velveteen Rabbit gently. And in that instant, his seams loosened, his fur shivered, and his legs stretched strong and springy. His button eyes gleamed like the stars. He was a real rabbit. The Velveteen Rabbit bounded into the meadow, his strong legs carrying him faster than he had ever dreamed. The wind rushed past his ears, the grass brushed his fur, and his heart pounded with joy. Other rabbits joined him, and this time he could leap, twirl, and play as one of them. He was no longer stuffed with sawdust. He was alive, free, and full of life. Yet he never forgot the boy. The next spring, the boy played again in the garden. He was stronger now, his cheeks rosy, his laughter bright. A rabbit sat nearby, sleek and brown, with eyes that twinkled in a way the boy remembered. He didn't know why, but he felt a rush of warmth in his heart. "That rabbit looks just like my old Velveteen Rabbit," he whispered. And the Velveteen Rabbit, now truly alive, twitched his whiskers and hopped closer, as if to say, "I remember you too." And so, dear dreamers, the Velveteen Rabbit lived happily among the wild rabbits, forever carrying in his heart the love that had made him real. Because, Coo, it is love, deep, steady, patient love that makes us real too. Not how we look, not what we can do, but how we care and how we are cared for. And now, little one, our story drifts to a close. The Velveteen Rabbit has found his place in the world. He is real, loved, and free. So snuggle under your blanket, close your eyes, and remember, you are loved, and that love makes you real and wonderful, too. Good night, little dreamers. Sleep well.